Welcome to another episode of the Great Retention. Angelique, I'm so glad you are joining us today. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to jump in to learn about your experience as a HR leader, how you're navigating things around burnout, around remote work, around culture. So really appreciate you joining us today on the Great Retention. I wanted to just go ahead and jump in. First, thank you for coming. But for our audience, right, if you don't mind, if we can get started with just tell us a little bit about your role, but also Circulo Health. Talk to us a little bit about, I know, most folks are working remote, but the number of employees, just give us a little bit of that background for our audience so they understand kind of what you're navigating, in your leadership role.
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity to actually share a little bit about what I do and what our organization supports. So Circulo Health is a 400 plus employee base organization dedicated to individual development disabilities. What that really means is that we help those individuals who are underrepresented in the IDD space with providing care, services, as well as technology. Our role is to really enable those individuals to live better lives, to have sustainable lifestyles so that they can actually work and live independently. So we do that through our employees. We are geographically dispersed. So we are a remote first organization, but we are headquartered in the Columbus, Ohio market and area. And most of our work is detailed throughout the entire state of Ohio.
Got it. All right. Well, and you're leading all people operations for Circulo Health, right?
Yes.
So now you have
people operations.
Got it. And I know from our conversations previously, the idea of culture, it's almost if you don't have a culture, you don't have a company, right? It's that important, right? And so, but when you have this remote first environment and people are not, seeing each other, they're not feeling that same sense of connection. Talk to us a little bit about that, how you navigate that. How do you still create, that sense of belonging, right? How do you create that sense of community? Are there any kind of stories or examples that you can share, or insights that you've found as you've navigated this?
Yeah, so our organization has always thrived on being a remote first organization, and we have a remote first approach. We believe in creating a community within the actual organization itself. We want our employees to feel connected at all times, whether that's through all of our mechanisms such as Slack. We also have monthly meetings, which we consider a band meeting. It's a business and news day where we allow our employees to actually manage that process, and they're able to create the newsworthy information and share that collectively as a group. If there's any opportunities for our employees to work across the aisles, we promote that collaborations. That is one of the ways that we're able to not only integrate our systems and our processes, but everyone is working on the same page. Everyone is actually speaking the same speak, and everyone is working together. So we operate on a system of one, and that's what we've been able to do successfully for the last 2 years in being a remote first environment. It's important to us to really focus on our employees' well-being. So we're always asking, how are you doing? If there's any help that you need in order to really build that trust with all of our team members.
Got it. So let me go back to, you said a band meeting, right? So
yes,
tell me more about this.
Band. Yeah. So we actually kicked off this actual system this year. So originally we had what I would consider just the regular meetings where you just give an update and just a rundown, and it felt really unauthentic and more systematic, like a checkoff list. So the band was developed to really get the feedback from our employees. And BAN is an acronym. It does stand stand for Business and News Day. And so employees are able to contribute to that monthly meeting, share information about what they're really working on. Before, we weren't able to hear from like each department and every level of the organization. And by holding those meetings, we're able to have all of this information from all of our employees. They're all participating and they have a say in what's happening with the organization. So it has been proving really well in terms of our communication. Employees love it. We do have an opportunity at the end where we try to incorporate some fun, but it's a little different and atypical in what we had before when we had our business meetings. They were just strictly business. But this gives a portion devoted to employee engagement and also plays a way for our employees to participate in the company.
I love this, Angelique. So, because I know that, all hands. So it's one of these things, like what I hear, people want the all hands meetings because they want to feel like they're in the loop but then it's like, oh gosh, we have another all hands meetings. And it's like, oh, it's the same old checklist. Right. And so I love the ideas in terms of, getting people to take some ownership of the updates in that meeting as well, or sharing the news, sharing the milestones, wins. So I'm kind of digging into this a little bit because I think this is something with a lot of leaders, just they're not sure how to really enhance that experience. They know they need to do it. They know what's important, but the feedback isn't that great. And so do employees submit ideas to be included, or I know I'm kind of getting into the weeds, but I think it's really interesting. It could be helpful. So how does this work? Like, is this like, has this replaced your all hands meetings and this is now?
Yeah. So it essentially had replaced our all hands meeting. What we consider our Cub meetings were basically centered only on business. We never really heard from anyone beyond the management level. With the band meetings, this allows those individuals who are working independently and are doers of the organization have a say in what's happening, and they can actually showcase the work that they're doing. And it's important for us, for all of our employees, to have a voice, that they're able to really influence what's happening with our work and our operations. And with the band meeting, we've been able to truly demonstrate that. So typically, at least a week prior, we try to solicit feedback from our employees on, some of the topics that they would like for us to showcase and what they would like to discuss as a part of that meeting. So we could designate anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes for, one or two employees to showcase on what's happening in their area. And it's important for us, for every employee, to understand our entire operation. So what someone does in our direct service department in terms of operations versus engineering is totally different, but it all plays into one and it all integrates into one. So it's important for us to understand where that person is working at and what they're doing, and then where the other employee is actually working on as well, and how that works together to form our team.
No, this is, so one of the things that we try to do on the show, and it's why I'm loving this, is just to give other leaders practical ideas that they can just take and apply to their team. Right. And so, what I'm hearing you and what I'm kind of going through my mind is, hey, a lot of companies use like a pulse survey kind of tool to get employee feedback. Well, hey, one of those pulses could be before the next all hands or band meeting. And like you're saying, give us some topics that people are interested in learning more about. And then we're able to focus that meeting on the things that are going to be most meaningful. Love that. So thank you for sharing that nugget of wisdom from your leadership there, Angelique. So thank you. I do want to go back to one of the things you said that's important is around the well-being of your people. Right. And what we hear from a lot of leaders right now is, and obviously I know Circulo Health, you're focused on improving the health of your community. But one of the things we hear is, yes, people are working from home, but that actually translates into people working more. And there's, sometimes there's not even a bathroom break in between these Zoom meetings, right? And it's just back to back. And so people feel burnout, right? I know I've experienced this. So, talk to us a little bit about how do you, from your role from an HR leadership, how do you address that? How do you monitor that? Are there things that you put in place at the organization to help improve that? Love to get your perspective on overall mental health, wellness, burnout.
Yeah, so it is so important for us and essential to us as an organization to focus on wellness and overall well-being of our employees. One of the things that we focus on is a part of our total rewards is offering that as a benefit. We provide a mental health wellness subsidy for our employees to actually get assistance through any licensed practitioner, and they can actually have that benefit as well as their eligible dependents. In addition to that, we do have a wellness development benefit as well, which provides upward to about $500 stipend, where employees can actually purchase fitness equipment, anything that will actually add to their greater well-being. In addition to that, we offer unlimited PTO. We feel it's a need that our employees are well rested, they're well charged in the work that they're doing. So with that unlimited PTO, that gives them the discretion of taking that time off and managing their own time for their families and the things that they want to do. Additionally, we encourage, at least as a part of that unlimited PTO, that our employees take at least 3 days off per quarter. So if we notice that someone hasn't done that, the goal of that manager is to nudge that employee like, hey, you haven't taken any time off this quarter. You definitely need to take the time off to recharge. And we do have focus time where we devote that time only to ourselves. If we need to take a walk or if we need to go out and just to take a quick break, that time that's placed on your calendar for focus time, there's no meeting scheduled, there's no plan scheduled, that time is devoted to you. So again, it's essential for us that our employees are really focused on their well-being because they're pouring into other individuals, and we want them to be able to operate on full instead of empty.
Yeah, no, I respect you and appreciate the fact that you're doing that for your people. I hear that this is an issue this is across industries. This is something that leaders are kind of dealing with. In the show notes, if it's okay, I'd love to maybe list a couple of the mental health resources that maybe that you found effective or that you offer today, and we can make that available for other leaders depending on what's appropriate or makes sense there. One of the things that we've done at our company, we actually instituted what we call a quarterly day of rest. And we just shut the company down 1 day a quarter, and then the employees get to pick what day it is. And so no meetings, no emails, you are not supposed to work. Right. And because what we found, a lot of times people go away on vacation, but then the work's piling up, and they feel that. Right. And so, so I love the fact that you're, in addition to saying, hey, we there's unlimited PTO, making sure that people are actually using that too, I think is important. So love that focus, as well in terms of just, again, supporting your people, overall culture. It's
so important. Yeah. It's definitely important. I think we have worked so long in a hustle mentality where employees feel like they're going to be recognized for working through their vacation or PTO.
Yeah.
So our encouragement is for you to really exercise the PTO, take that time off to regroup. Again, just recharge yourself so that you're able to really optimize your working productivity and you're able to do your best work.
Yep. Yeah, totally. Totally makes sense. So, and this kind of leads into my next question. So one of the trends, I'll call it, or just the overall movement that we see right now is that a lot of organizations, they're doing a lot of good things from an employee engagement perspective, but they're kind of in silos, meaning, hey, we have this DE&I initiative, or we have this wellness committee, or we have this years of service award, but all of these things are part of what we call that employee experience. And what we're starting to see from leaders is that they're actually putting in place what an employee experience strategy, and it's becoming part of their operations. And in some cases, they even have dedicated roles that are focused on their employee experience strategy. So I wanted to get your perspective. Is this something that you're seeing in the industry? Do you kind of look at it this way at Circulo Health? I just wanted to, what are you seeing around employee experience strategy? How have you implemented anything related to that? Just want to get your take on that trend as well.
Yeah, it's ironically, you say that it's a trend, and that's something that's probably been, in focus for a number of years, but employers are just starting to grasp it. It's important that the employee experience is one that, you take from when you start recruiting for that potential candidate or applicant. That's one of the approaches that we take at the organization. We treat all of our applicants, all of our candidates with a white glove approach. We want them to feel like they're welcome, that the experience was a great one. It's also an experience that they can truly tell someone else about. Even from the first interaction that they have with our talent acquisition specialists, that interaction, we hope, is one that they will consider us as their employer. So we start from day one, from the way that we recruit, the way that we actually onboard. What is that onboarding experience? Have they gotten any interaction with their manager? That manager usually reaches out a week prior to that person starting to make that connection, to introduce themselves, welcome them to the team. How is their day one? Are they getting any feedback from the team members that they're currently going to work with, and how are they fitting in? And we also conduct an actual survey within the first week of their start, just to get feedback on how that onboarding experience was, how the recruitment experience. 90 days after that, we're collecting more information to get feedback from that actual new hire on how that experience is. And for our existing employees, we conduct stay interviews to get that feedback, because we're continuously trying to evolve and create an experience where everyone feels like they're connected, they feel like they belong, and they're a part of a greater organization. So I think it's so important to any organization, any company, any culture, that is not really a strategy that is just embedded in your full operations.
I love, so you shared a lot of great just kind of learnings there. I wanted to kind of unpack a couple of those because I want to make sure that other leaders are going to be able to, take this and hopefully apply to their organization. So one, you mentioned like on day one, right? Talent acquisition, like that. And and I'm just thinking to myself, how much time do we spend on mapping out what our customer experience is? Everything goes to that, right? And it's like, but wait a minute, like if we don't take care of our people, like how are they going to take care of our customers, right? And so to me, they're linked, right? Employee experience equals a positive customer experience, right? And so I love how you're talking day one, what is that experience that they're going to have with the talent acquisition, the recruiting process and so forth. Love how the manager actually is reaching out ahead of the start, and then you're actually doing surveys. You're actually getting feedback on within that first 90 days. What is that experience? So love all of those those types of things. So and then you said stay interviews. So talk to us a little bit about that. Do you do this like quarterly? How often are you doing stay interviews?
Yes, our stay interviews actually are biannually. So we reach out to existing employees. So it's one thing to get the feedback from employees that are new to the organization. It's really important to get the feedback from employees who are here. So why are you here? What encourages you and motivates you to remain in your role and grow with the company? So that feedback to us is really essential too in improving that employee experience. So we solicit that back through 6 questions, really targeted questions to the employee, just to get their feedback. And there's an option for them to drop in free form commentary to share with us on how we can better improve the employee experience. And that has helped us to shape even our total rewards offering in terms of our benefits and what we provide to our employees. So that information is not only helpful, but it also creates and curates a more improved employee experience.
Really, really like that, Angelique. I mean, I know a lot of leaders, it's conceptually they understand and agree to the idea of having strong engagement, but the common kind of thing I hear is, well, but there's no data, right? It's kind of it's not objective, right? And so what you're sharing through these stay interviews, you actually have a data-driven approach to your engagement. And so then you can be proactive when it comes to the employee experience strategy. So love that. Just how
data
you're
is essential.
Yeah.
It's essential to validating some of the I would say some of the issues that we have within retention. So once you have that data, you can actually validate the reasons why your employees are leaving and some of the reasons that you can actually try to improve in retaining that staff.
Love that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that knowledge with us here. So Angelique, this has been wonderful. So just so much appreciation for you as a leader sharing, just your lessons learned, right? And I know previously you told me that you've, through your career, have been almost every level within the HR world, from entry level to now C-level. So as we wrap up today, one of the things, again, we try to really provide our audience with just the actionable next steps, things that they can take and have value with their team. Is there anything that comes to mind as something that you would leave our audience with in terms of, employee experience, burnout, remote work, belonging? How can they just continue to elevate, their employee experience inside of their organizations?
Yeah. So when I think about, being in every level of those roles and positions, it always centers back to the employee. If you want to create a great company, consider your employee. It's one thing to look at what other organizations are doing and modeling and trying to adopt those practices, but focus on your current environment, your current culture. What are your employees asking for? What are your employees seeking? How can you better improve that employee experience so it's one that the employee not only remains with you, but also tells other people? Statistics do prove through Gallup that an employee who is truly engaged will remark to a close friend or a close loved one how they love working for that organization. And you want to be that organization that others can tell others to tell others about you.
Absolutely.
So creating and designing a culture that is one welcoming, that your employees have a community and they feel like they belong. Also a company that focus on the overall well-being. I know it's important for us to focus on being fiscal stewards and being very responsible about profitability, but we also have to focus on our employees. There's a lot that they're facing out in the real world. And unfortunately, that is being brought into the actual workplace. So how can you combat those issues and help your employees navigate as they're trying to work while also maintaining a balance with their personal lives? When you're able to do all three of those things and bring those things together, you can create a great culture, one where your employees feel like they belong, one that they can contribute to, and thirdly, a company that can stand on the premise that you have a sound organization and one that is really recognizable within any other employer. So I just think it's really important just to focus on those things and do what's best for your staff and for your employees.
I love that. Thank you so much, Angelique. And, no greater compliment to have an employee, refer and just share, hey, you want to work at this company because of the belonging, the caring, the culture that you mentioned. So thank you again for your leadership, being a purpose-driven leader, inside of your organization, but the community at large. So we are grateful for you joining us today. And thank you again for sharing all of your knowledge on the Great Retention.
Oh, thank you.